So what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 2 a.m. in Sweden, aka We Got Next. I'm one of your hosts of the show, Hayes, aka Shifty, with the one, the only 7 wins in a row, Pistons in 7. Steven at Steven_. How you been, man? How's life going?
All I'm going to say is I'm so happy that the Pistons are good,
Yeah,
that they're relevant in the Eastern Conference. I don't expect them to win the Eastern Conference, but I want them to stay in the top 6 and avoid that playing game.
Mhm.
They're only 5 games back of the Knicks for third. They would need to go on a big run to get that, which I can do, but I just want to stay in the top 6. That's ideal. And then someone's at my door. Hang on a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. No, you're good. So one thing that Steven's bringing up when it comes to the Pistons, and we'll dive into kind of everything else, the Pistons haven't been this good in a minute, which is really just important. You can kind of see the way that they play. I was joking with Steven the other day because of the Wizards, and the Pistons and the Wizards were in a very similar situation. One organization just decided to end up doing more with the pieces that they end up having. And then, of course, on the other side, you have the Wizards that are just always in the same place. So that's kind of one thing. And again, kudos to the Detroit Pistons. They've come a hell of a long way, especially back in the day. For anyone that remembers when they had, of course, the Bad Boys, but then also they had Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, Richard Hamilton, and Chauncey Billups. Those times, this is a different team than that team, but they're young. They can kind of continue to grow together. So that's kind of one of the big things. The next thing I kind of want to just end up bringing up is you will continue to see a lot more different shows from us, whether it's in terms of the regular one we have. Of course, we'll do the small breakdown ones. My goal is on a couple of different things. The first one, we'll probably have a show between one of the two of us regarding the combine over the weekend. The next one, what I really want to do, the hope is in March. So anyone that knows Steven's event that he really likes is the scouting combine. Mine is the NFL free agency period. If all goes well, I should be able to do a show each night, kind of recapping like I did with the trade deadline. I want to be able to do that with free agency. One, because those first 2 to 3 days in terms of the cheating period or however you want to call it, that's where a lot of the money is made, and that's where a lot of people sign. You do have some big names that are out there. Of course, is T. Higgins going to be franchise tagged? Is Myles Garrett going to be traded? Where's Matthew Stafford going to end up? So those are a lot of the different ones we do want to end up paying attention to. Where's Cooper Kupp going to go? Is Puka Nacua now going to take that next level? Just because if Stafford and Kupp are both gone, it becomes Kyren Williams and Puka Nacua's team. And then if that's the case, who are they going to bring in for the Rams on the back end of that? But that's the main thing over there. Kind of want to jump straight into the NFL Combine. That's going to be the main bread and butter of the show. For starters, Steven, what is your favorite event, would you say, of the Combine? And kind of growing up, what was your favorite event? And then now watching it, what is your favorite event?
Probably. So I'm really big into the drills aspect of things. I think so. When I was in college, I was a journalism major in college, and for some reason, I always wanted to be a scout. Like I always wanted to work for a team and do that because it's just like watching film. I don't know. I feel like the sports junkies in us, like you like to watch the film. And that's when you find out, like, just go back and watch tape of someone's game. And like, that's why like highlight tapes are dope on YouTube. You get lost in that stuff. But it's good to see like the drills and like, it's also one of those things, and you can appreciate this, being able to tell who's good and who's not.
Yeah.
Like being able to watch it and not have to listen to Daniel Jeremiah say that looked really good, knowing what you just saw was not very good. Or like, like a DB drill, like the fluidity of like the hips turning, like having seen that for so fucking long every single year and listening to it for like, 20 years watching the combine. You pay attention to that stuff. 40-yard dash, obviously, I think is everyone's all-time favorite. Not so much for the like receivers or corners, whatever, but for like the D linemen, like the D ends, the offensive linemen to see their 40s. Linebackers are always fun. But it's also a disappointment when some guys don't participate in the combine. Abdul Carter from Penn State, unfortunately, is not competing in the combine. He will compete he'll do drills at the pro day, which I think is a handful of weeks after that. But he's still recovering from an injury from the playoffs, so unfortunately not going to do drills because he's one of the better athletes at the combine. So I think our tight end is going to be doing them as well. But yeah, the 40 I think is everyone's go-to, but I just like the drill aspect of the combine because it shows you like just how elite some of these guys are and how like polished they are. And like the difference between a first rounder and like a seventh rounder is a drastic jump. Even the difference between like a top 10 pick and like someone at the end of the first round might be like, just somewhat of a decent jump. But bench press is always cool too. You can see how strong these guys are. But I would say the 40 is always fun. It's always like there's always one guy who they think is going to break it, and chances are he's not going to. But we've had some of those guys.
So, a couple of notes before I give my thoughts. Pro Day for Penn State is March 28th. That's the first thing. The next thing, just kind of going into the first day. So it's February 27th to March 2nd. First day is, of course, usually your linemen, your linebackers. Growing up, I always loved the 40. The 40 was just that event. I would say now, similar to you, the 40 is cool to watch. But if you really like to analyze the scouting combine, you're going to end up looking at those 3 cone drills. Like, how are they moving their hips? For me also as well, the receivers having to run through the cones. And then when you're running a straight, you have to turn your hips one way, turn your hips the other to be able to catch it on both sides. And you can kind of see that. Then the other one I do really like a lot of times is the deep balls from the quarterbacks when they're working with other wide receivers. Because then you can, I'm telling, if they're overthrowing it, you then have to look, was the quarterback not timing it with the receiver, or is the receiver just not as fast as you thought he was? And the quarterback just always knew how to throw it to him because that's who he used all the time. So that's one. Another one I do really like to see is when it's the cornerbacks having to turn their hips and then end up breaking out. Because a lot of times you get to see the ones that just studied the drill. And it's just like, are you studying for a test or are you understanding what you're studying for? And you could tell the ones all they're trying to do is go through the motions, do it fast. Then the ones that genuinely are looking at the coach, trying to make sure they hit every single point. So I appreciate those because a big thing is with the taller cornerbacks, you're having to get taller cornerbacks because the receivers are taller. So can you end up turning your hips? The ones that are better at that are usually your smaller cornerbacks and your D-backs, but they're not the ones that can stand up against you like your Julio Joneses back in the day. Or now you need the bigger ones for like A.J. Brown. And then, of course, McMillan, who's going to come into the league, who's a taller receiver. You need to have someone that's going to be able to handle them. Or look at, of course, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. You don't want a taller one, but you want one that can end up flying and moving at the same time. So these cornerbacks and D-backs that are out there now, it's important. Then the other part is, Steven, back in the day, all we really knew was you had your outside cornerbacks and maybe your slot. Now you got your nickel corner, you got your dime. It depends on your package and how you're going to end up fitting into it. So, and of course, we know who your first round draft picks are. A lot of times, your first round draft picks aren't going to always be the best on your team, aka Cooper DeJean. And you have to go deeper in the draft to figure out who's really going to be your better one in it. So, kind of going into the next one, I don't want to say the obvious choices, but who are some people you're looking at either for the NFL scouting combine or in terms of the pro days? And before you answer that, someone else on top of Abdul Carter, he's injured, but Shedeur Sanders isn't doing it. But who would you say are some people you're looking at or people should pay attention to going into the combine?
So I was looking at because when I asked you what we were going to run what the rundown was today, I was looking at Mel Kiper's mock draft. And I don't know if it's just like how much I've been paying attention to college football over the last couple of seasons with the success that Penn State has had, or it's just like, I don't know, this is just a really good draft class because I just went through his first 32 and there's always like the one-offs, the guys like keep an eye on this guy. There's a couple like D2 guys that are coming up, but I was looking at this top 32, his mock draft, and there's a couple other guys that have been left off of this, but there's so much elite talent in this draft class, and a lot of people like Colson Loveland. Like a lot of people are talking about Harold Fan Jr., tight end at Bowling Green. Penn State's Tyler Warren as the guys. Colson Loveland was hurt. Michigan wasn't that good. So people might have forgotten about him a little bit. But that's a guy that, he's maybe not a great inline tight end. Like he's not elite at blocking, but his catch radius, he runs great routes. He's just a very fluid player. Big dude, could put on some more weight. But guys like that, Mason Graham, people know who he is, but like, in terms of D lineman over the last couple of seasons, he's probably the best. And like, I feel like no one's mentioning him because of like the Shador Sanders of the world, Travis Hunters of the world. There's a couple linemen, like offensive linemen. This dude Will Campbell out of LSU is a problem. Emeka Ibuka, like he's just another Ohio State wide receiver. Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan, he's been hurt. He was hurt most of the season, was very unfortunate. But he's one of like probably the pure players in the draft, probably one of like the 3 or 5 best. I really want to see what Tyler Warren does. Again, Penn State tight end Ashton Jeanty. Like how much confidence people have in him.
I really want to see
going from Boise State. We'll see. Cam Ward. I'm not sold on any of these quarterbacks. I don't think this is a good quarterback group, but I think they want it to be because it's really just like those 2 guys. I think they want it to be, but I don't think it is. There's another guy on here. Who was I looking at? Oh man. Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. Another fucking Georgia player. He has this D tackle from Ole Miss, Walter Nolan, going to your Eagles at 32. That would be incredible.
Insane.
Dude.
Yeah.
That kid's potential is crazy.
To pair up with Davis and Carter.
Yeah, I mean, just massive dudes clogging up the middle. Again, like there's so many guys out there, but just how loaded the first round could be. Again, I don't know if it's just how much I've paid attention to college football over the last couple of seasons, knowing who these guys have been when they came in, and then like watching them whether they transferred or whatnot. A lot of them are on obviously elite teams, so you hear them all the time. But there's so much talent in this draft class; it's unbelievable. Just not at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Next year, I think it will. Quinn Ewers is up there, but like I don't know how much you trust those guys. Like Will Howard, I get it. National title winning quarterback. Same thing like the kind of with JJ McCarthy. Not franchise quarterback. That's what you're drafting now. You know what I mean? Like when you have that high of a pick, like first round, second round, probably you're drafting a likely / potential franchise quarterback, and there might be like one in there. But
yeah,
a lot of so there's so much talent in this draft class, just not at the quarterback position.
Yeah. So 3 of mine that I'm going to end up naming. One is just to get under Steven's skin. 3 running backs. Of course, the big talk is Ashton Jeanty, of course, to see how he does. But one that I've started to look at a little bit more is Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. So I'm curious about how he's going to do. Another one is Devin Neal out of Kansas. I do want to see what he does. The third one is Cam Scatterboat.
That's fair. I get it.
So I don't really know how he's going to do. The one that I am very interested in is Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. A lot of people talk about McMillan from Arizona, but Trey Harris was up there in like the top 5, top 10. Yes, Ole Miss's offense allowed for that to happen. So I do want to see how that ends up translating.
You still got to go do it, though.
You still got to go do it. Now, because I'm trying to get Ole Miss season tickets, they have a new offering before we get back to the scouting combine. So they're offering suites, Steven. And these are luxurious suites to the alumni or anyone that wants to be a donor. These suites are $5 million, and you can put $2.5 million right now up front and then pay the other 2.5. And it's behind the field goal post. And it doesn't matter. I don't care where you are. What are you doing? What are you getting for $5 million? The stadium better be named after me for $5 million.
Yeah.
Like
no shit, dude. No shit.
So
I better have naming rights to the entire facility.
Yeah, so
Name,
it's called
image, and likeness.
So it's called the Founder Suite, and it's coming in 2027. So the top one is the Champion Suite. That's $5 million, $2.5 million upfront, then the 2.5 remaining before the 2027 season. And the annual suite contribution, in order for you to be eligible for that, you have to pay $130K a year.
Jeez.
So I'm already out.
That.
On top of that, so the services they say are you get suite concierge service, you get dedicated Wi-Fi, you get a naming opportunity, you get private catering from local favorites. Outside food is allowed there, and you get 24 seats. So it doesn't sound like $5 million worth for me personally. But
I mean, you better be getting that for the playoffs too, or you better be getting something like you better have some sort of. I mean, you're probably getting that already. If you have that kind of Skrilla, then like you can probably do whatever the fuck you want. But I mean, look, again, it always goes back to if you got it and you can do it, and it's not going to break your bank. Sign me up, dude. Sign me up. I will be the first one in line. Naming rights. Yeah, unlimited this, my own Wi-Fi. That's cool. Like, that's fucking dope. Oh, my own Wi-Fi concierge service. Yeah, if I get $5 million to drop on that, I'm definitely gonna do that. But like, that's so crazy to like that costs that much money, and there's 8 games, 7 or 8 games, 7 games, 8 games, right? Like this isn't like a January to December type of thing, right?
No,
it's just like there's
only 8 games you're doing this for.
Yeah, no, 5 million. That's crazy.
So just to kind of break that down, you're paying $625,000 a game.
That sounds so much worse than 5 mil. That sounds so much worse. 625.
$625,000 a game for dedicated Wi-Fi.
A game for dedicated Wi-Fi. 24 seats. That's a lot.
If you want to break it down per seat per person, that's $26,000. So again, still, this is above my pay grade. Bro. Like I'm still not doing this.
That is
you can't make it any better.
That's so nuts, dude. Unless I'm throwing a pass at some point in the game. Like unless Lane Kiffin calls me out there and lets me run an RPO, I'm not doing it. You know?
Yeah.
I like let me kick a field goal or like punt or something. You know, unless I'm tossing the rock. No, I'm not paying $5 million. That's crazy.
So kind of the next thing, just looking forward, is other events that are happening. So the NFL Scouting Combine, of course, we'll end up talking about. We'll have more information to dive into it afterwards. If you watch the past, I would say 3 to 4 years, we've always analyzed the Scouting Combine and talked about who kind of were the premier players in it, who were the ones that kind of fell from it. But outside of that, Steven, if we look at the NFL free agency, we look at the NFL draft, we look at OTAs, and then preseason, which of those would you rank as second that you look forward to kind of seeing, or you get a lot of information out of by a team basis?
Draft.
Okay.
I think because you're the same way probably. Like I used to be super into the draft. Like I would spend countless hours diving into it, doing because I had an internship for a like random ass draft preview website. I honestly couldn't tell you what it was called. But you just write like you watch some tape on the players. I think it was like 2011. You watch the tape on the players and just give a little like draft scouting report and all that kind of good stuff. Throw some film on there and do that. But I think it was always like you want to see if like what you thought about the players. And there's always surprises, but like what you thought about the players matched like kind of where they were in the draft in terms of like tiers and like again, there's always those surprises in the first round and like guys who went way higher than they should have, whatever it might be. But and then there's always like, you know, as a Big Ten fan, and like I definitely have like favorite players on other teams like in the Big Ten that I've seen for the last 4 years or whatever. But
Hmm.
it's always like cool to like see those like fifth or sixth round guys. They're like, oh shit! Like I remember like he was a beast for like 2 games or whatever.
Hmm.
But like it's also like like there's so many college football players out there. There's so many. Um,
Hmm.
so it's always cool to like see the names and everything, but seeing if like it matches what you thought in your head after like watching the combine, doing the scouting, all that kind of good stuff. It's always like the draft is fun.
Yeah.
Good for the and I gotta give a shout out to Jay Hill because
Shout out.
that was like one of the coolest days of my life was being a part of his draft and having it at the crib and like him getting the phone call and like you see how like emotional everybody is, mom, dad, sisters, and like the boys, like everyone's just like, whoa, the homie just got drafted to the league. That's
Hmm.
so that's super dope. So good for them.
So shout out to that.
Shout out.
It's something I always end up looking forward to, just kind of seeing how the draft does play out, and you like to end up seeing the mindset of it. So, for example, I'll be a homer with the Eagles. They're not good at picking wide receivers all the time. If you look at their history, they've had some shit ones, and we can go down the list of different ones that might have played for New England at one point and then played for Baltimore at one point, and then their name is Nelson Aguilar,
Nelson
or their name
Aguilar.
was got him at a TCU, and we don't want to say his name because he's not really that good. And they chose these two over Justin Jefferson and like CeeDee Lamb and stuff. So he understands that. So he said, you know what? Let me trade the pick and let me end up just getting AJ Brown with picks. You get to see their mindset. And he said, you know what? I'm really good at just choosing one college's team's defense. That's what we'll do. So you kind of see that there. You see Jerry Jones and what they do with the Cowboys. They're just like, let's just go with the high profile name.
Yeah,
That's really what they do with their
that's the
picks.
fastest guy.
Yeah. So go after the fastest guy. Let's figure that out. Or another one to watch is the Chargers. So how Coach Harbaugh is. He said, we don't need any of these expensive ass players. Let's just draft. It's going to take time, but this is what we're going to do. And you see it that way. Then if you look at the Steelers, they like the gritty type of players. They're going to be like the hard-nosed players. They might pan out. Like Najee Harris is a solid one. George Pickens has a dog in him, or they might not. But that's what so many of these picks are for. And I'm going to use this as a segue to go into the NBA because there's another team that loves to have a lot of picks and they get to miss a lot, and that's OKC. And you can kind of see what OKC has done with theirs, but we're going to do something, Steven. So usually in years past, what we have done is we've chosen maybe 2 to 4 teams, and then we've kind of seen what their records are at the end. We're going to do something different this year. So we're essentially around the midway point, I would say, give or take some weeks. We're going to choose one team that is inside of the top 6, but it cannot be the top 2. And we're going to choose one team that is behind the 7 to Wizards. We can do it that way. So
Okay.
1 to 6, but not 1 and 2. So you're looking at 3 to 6,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're choosing someone outside of the top 7. I mean, outside of the top 6. So you can get some time to look at that. We'll start to analyze different things. The first thing I want to do is we're looking at the top 2 in both. We have the Cavs and the Celtics, the Thunder and the Nuggets. Which of those teams seem to actually be a championship type of contender team?
The Nuggets and the Celtics.
Okay.
I just think because they've been there, done that the last couple of seasons. And if I had to say what team I trust more, probably the Nuggets. I think the Cavs. I would pick the Cavs over the Thunder. Like we've seen so many teams like the Thunder come along and have really, really dope regular seasons, but they just don't have that playoff experience. And like that's definitely a thing. Like that definitely means something. Hence why I picked the Celtics over the Cavs in the East. I know Donovan Mitchell has been to the playoffs, but like as a group, yes, you can have like that one guy who's been there, but you kind of need to have some more guys. Celtics obviously, Nuggets, but the Thunder also they haven't been there. Like they have Shea, and like that's great. They have a good team. They score a lot of points, awesome. But like it's so much different in the playoffs. If I had to pick, do you want me to do that? Or were you going to go another route? Or who you
No,
pick?
you can.
I mean,
You're
also,
s-
I was going to complain about something, but I'm not going to do that right now.
okay.
No, I was not going to do that. I was complaining about Jokic's 19 assists. That's such a
Oh, go ahead. Talk about that because I saw the
fraudulent number.
first one.
Such a fraudulent number. If you watched his assists, I mean, like he had some. Yeah, I would say probably had maybe like 15. I'm saying like he had a few that were not. Like there should be a rule where, like if you're at the top of the if you're, and this happened a couple of times. Jokic was at the top, passed off to the right wing to Michael Porter Jr. and he took like it was the whole possession basically. Passed it off to him, and then he like did a little dribble and drove to the basket. Maybe like 5 seconds after he got the ball from Jokic, and he counted that as an assist. And then Jokic's 19th assist was kind of the same thing. Passed it off to Michael Porter Jr. I think it was. Did a little dance. Maybe like 10 seconds later, shot a jumper and made it, and it counted that as an assist. Like that shouldn't be a thing. It should be like on a layup, an oop, pick and roll, whatever. Like, or you should have to be like in the paint or something, or like under the basket, or I don't know. But like some of these, again, most of his assists are always those types of passes. But 19 assists is a big number. And there were some fraudulent assists in there. So I saw a couple clips of that. I didn't see the highlights or anything, but I did see some clips of that. And the first one, the Michael Porter Jr. was the fraudulent one, and I was like,
I saw him.
Come on, man.
Yeah, someone on Twitter was like, I opened the link to end up seeing all of his assists. That's the first thing I saw. Like, there's no need. All right, if that's how we're judging assists, you can guess how the rest are going to go. But I could start off with choosing the two teams from both.
Yeah.
So kind of going with it, I'll just explain another thing. Of course, Steven and I both know this, but for anyone out there that's wondering why we chose what we did, if you choose the number 3 seed, you cannot choose the number 7 seed. That's too easy for us to end up doing. I know Steven wasn't going to do it. It's more so for me because I'd be the type to end up saying Knicks Magic. All right, well, that's not fair because you already have an advantage. Then on the other side, you might as well go Grizzlies Timberwolves. Well, it makes the game not fun, which is why I took out the top 2. But the two from the East.
What are we picking? What's the goal?
So we're same thing as what we do in the beginning of the season. You try to combine the records and then whoever is higher.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, if you do end up choosing like the Hornets and they go on like an insane run, you're gonna essentially almost win if you choose a solid base and like the Knicks or the Bucks. But what I'll do for the East is I'm gonna go with the Knicks, and then who's the other one I picked? I'm gonna go with the Sixers. And I'm saying the Sixers.
Wow.
Because they're going to make it as a play-in team. I just don't know where they're going to make it as a play-in team. Joel Embiid, listen, he's going to have more surgeries than anybody I know at the rate that this is going. I don't know if you saw, now this is the last thing I'm going to say about him. I don't know if you saw when the homie did a pump fake in the corner and then Joel Embiid went flying. And it was
close, dude. It wasn't close.
Close.
Blew, the whistle blew and then he jumped. It was that bad. Like, and his big ass was flying through the air for no reason.
Yes.
Like, he's flying, flopping through the air. Like, no,
you are too big to do that.
It's just so awkward and uncomfortable looking.
Yes. So, who are your East before we go to the West?
I'm gonna go with the Pistons. Obviously,
really, I'm so surprised.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Pistons, and man, the bottom half of the East sucks.
Yep, it does.
It does, man. It is bad. Jeez.
They
should just eliminate those teams.
Yeah.
And just go with the top 6. I don't know. I'll go with the Heat, I guess.
Okay.
I'm not confident. Wouldn't be confident in any of those teams, but I'll go with the Heat.
Okay.
Sure.
The Heat. Oh, that's 30 losses. So Stevens is technically a combined record of 58 and 56.
Okay.
And then mine is 57 and 57.
Okay. So right there.
So solid right there.
Going
to the other side, the same way Steven's a homer on his, you should probably know who I'm going to time out before we go with that. Because I almost had to cut a friend off the other day. Because so I was at the Wizards game. This person's going to watch this, and I hope that they hear every single word that I say with this. They legit said to me, "So, who's your favorite basketball team?" And I was like, "There's no way. Like, there's no way you asked that." The second question they asked was, "How's the Wizards' record this year?"
Why? What? It's a weird thing to say.
And I was like, "There's no way you even live in the area. Like, they're the worst team."
Ah.
But I said all that to say, so the Grizzlies are the first one I chose clearly, and then the other one, I'm going with the Suns. So I'm going with the Suns because I know that they're going to be a play-in team, not necessarily make it to the playoffs. They're going to knock off the Kings. I don't see the Kings really doing much, and plus for the scripters or whoever creates it, more than likely it's going to be the Timberwolves or Clippers in there, the Mavericks, Warriors, and then the Suns. Spurs are done. Trailblazers are done. Pelicans, congrats, Zion, you're losing weight. Utah, they're just trying to get something. Some people are saying they're trying to find a way to lock in Cooper Flag or something over there. I don't know if that'll happen. They're probably going to send Cooper to a big market. But my two are the Grizzlies and then the Suns. Who do you have?
I would have said the Spurs, but not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably go. I'm gonna go with the Lakers, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Duh.
Yep.
And then, I'm gonna go with. Man, that's tough. I really want to pick the Mavs or the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I definitely would have picked the Spurs. Pelicans suck. Jazz suck. Blazers are some trash.
You only got 7 through 10.
I'll go with the Mavs.
Okay.
Even though the Warriors are probably the safer bet. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Mavs, and I'm hoping AD is back. What, he should be back in like 2 weeks, give or
Yeah.
take. So
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna be a boost. He'll probably get hurt again, but I'm gonna go with the Mavs anyways.
Yeah. So
Ugh.
I got to give us credit because I'll say mine first and then I'll say your total record. So mine with the two teams is 64 and 50. Yours with the two teams, 65 and 48. We're almost even at that. So
That's
it's
not
really
bad.
going to, no, it's not. So it's really going to just determine and depend on the Mavs and the Suns, if we're being honest, because the Grizzlies and Lakers are only 2 games apart. And that's really where the 2 games are going to be fine. But then you look at the Suns and the Mavs, they're 3.5.
Did you
over there?
we texted a little bit. Did you watch the game on Saturday night?
So Luka's finally getting into his gel. But the big part about that is this is still fast. People don't realize this is still fast for a midseason trade for him to be gelling like this. But it just shows you how good those two are, and they're the same. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, they're gonna be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the first game all season I've intently watched. Now I'm gonna watch every single Lakers game as much as I can. They play tonight, Mavs. Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's in LA.
Yep. Did you see the commercial?
Yeah. I intently watched that game on Saturday night, and I watched the first quarter, and I thought to myself, okay, they figured it out. Like there's the two of the smartest players in the league, two of the smartest players that the league has ever seen, and like they're the same player offensively. They have the same basketball IQ, same level. They know where everything is going. They know 2 or 3 plays ahead and what's going to happen. They know everything, and like they're just like the passes and just, oh man, it's crazy. I just cannot believe Luka is on the Lakers. That's just so wild. And then it's nuts. Like LeBron played his normal, first 6-7 minutes of the first quarter than Luka stayed in, like AD would. And it's just different, man. Like with Luka than AD. Like everyone knows how much I love Anthony Davis. But and I think he's one of the best two-way players in the league. And he can dominate offensively when LeBron goes out, and he can dominate defensively at any point. But like the offense somehow didn't go through him every single time, like it should have.
Mhm.
He should have touched the ball every single time on the way down when LeBron was out. But like the ball is going to be in Luka's hand every time that LeBron's out.
Yeah.
That's just different. Like Luka is not. I wouldn't go as far as say he's a liability defensively. I think sometimes he can be, but he can read passing lanes. He can get some steals. He had 4 the other night. Like and then you have guys like Dorian Finney-Smith and Rui and Vanderbilt when he's healthy. Jackson Hayes is going to benefit a ton.
Yep.
And LeBron's just kind of like chilling. Austin Reeves is fucking killing it, dude. Killing it. Shout out to Austin Reeves, man.
You heard who's going to be a free agent this offseason?
Austin Reeves is?
No, Naz Reid.
I saw that. Yeah, that would be a big pickup for the Lakers, because they need another true big man, like a true body down there. Jackson Hayes is actually playing really well. I think he's benefiting greatly offensively from those who just catching lobs all day.
Yep.
But like when LeBron checks out and checks back in, Luka checks out, guess who checks back in? LeBron. And then when Luka checks out, or when LeBron checks out, guess who checks back in? Luka. And then they're on the court at the same time. So they're gonna be fine. They're gonna struggle at times, but they have 31 games left, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna lose a couple, yes, obviously. Like they're gonna have bad nights, but I would say more times than not, like they're just getting started and they played that well against the Nuggets on the road where they haven't won shit. Like they've been terrible against the Nuggets. They've seen not terrible, but terrible luck and just can't beat them. And like that was a dominant game, start to finish. Lakers dominated that entire game. And I don't know if you saw afterwards JJ Redick's post game, speech, whatever, with the team. Like this big difference between Darvin Ham and JJ Redick as well.
Easily,
Darvin Ham wasn't like a terrible coach, right? He took him to the playoffs and took him to the Western Conference Finals. Like that's nothing to scoff at. But just the technical aspect of being a coach and like the basketball IQ that JJ Redick has, it's just different. And like you saw on this podcast when you talked to LeBron, and obviously like they're like-minded basketball players. There's levels to this shit. Like the basketball mind that Kendrick Perkins has and the basketball mind that JJ Redick has, or that somebody else has, they're just different. They both know the game, but JJ Redick is just a really smart coach, smart player. Like they're gonna be a problem, dude. And I don't know who's gonna beat them. Like honestly, like I don't know how you can defend, especially once they get going. Once they really figure it out, LeBron and Luka just like I don't know how you're gonna beat them. Honestly, it's just like when LeBron goes out, it's just Luka time, and he just do what he did the other night and just
whatever.
Drop 30. Like it's just like his 4th game with them, and like it looked so fluid, and it looked so like they've been playing for a full season. Like I'm not sure. Maybe the Mavs, if they get if AD is healthy and him and Kyrie can start to coexist, early and have that same type of impact within the first handful of games, they could easily step up and beat the Lakers. But I think the Lakers found it when they beat the Nuggets. I think like they were like, all right, we can fuck this. We can fuck this Western Conference up in the playoffs. To win a title, but I would say I don't find the Clippers aren't going to be healthy. Kawhi, who the fuck knows if Kawhi's going to be there or be in there. The Warriors, if they can make a run, maybe. If Jimmy Butler can do his thing, they've been there, done that. Obviously, Timberwolves, yeah, but I think losing Towns was tough.
Big, yes.
Rockets, don't trust the Rockets in any capacity. Grizzlies, sure, like we've seen them make a run. I don't trust the Thunder, but I think the Lakers are going to be up. And then fuck the East, dude. No one's coming out of the East and beating the Lakers or beating anybody from the West. No,
nobody. They're just going to beat each other up.
They're not going to have a chance, dude.
Yeah,
like they're not going to have a chance. Like I get it with the Celtics, but like I don't think so, dude. Don't think so. The Suns, my guy. Come on, dude. We were so close. Man. Okay. I was jeez, this guy. Last thing I'll say is the Suns, if they get in, they can also make a run because of who they have. And
Yep.
how good those players are. So I forgot about the Suns, but Lakers in 5.
So what you got for everyone?
Your boy is now the head coach of Mason's baseball team.
Wow, the head coach. That's
Coach.
that's
Being
a big
the head
thing.
coach, it's just way different, dude.
Yep.
I have to send out all the
be there every
email
single time.
notifications. Yeah, dude, the parents are gonna hate me. I'm gonna send out all the email notifications. I have to have all the equipment. I have to, to be nice to the kids. Whatever. They're 6 to
all
6
the
to 8.
equipment. Steven, I did that for 4 years.
Yeah, it's tough.
Oh my god.
And it's
I give you credit.
It's like the next level for the kids. So it's like there's P1 and then P2. So we're on a P2, and it's way more structured for the kids. And like there's outs, and you got to like throw it to first. So it's like a lot of these kids just haven't done that, and like our team is one of those teams that hasn't done it yet. So I told my, I mean, it was like my turn because me and the two other guys I'm coaching with they were both head coaches. So they're like, no, you're up, dude.
Yep.
So whatever.
Yeah.
It should be
Shout out to you.
Oh, also, okay, really quick. I have to say this too. Then I'll let you go. Do your thing. And we've talked about this before. Mason started flag football again 2 weeks ago, and he has his second game practice thing. This is like not legit, but they start to incorporate more aspects of the game with these kids. And they did a screen pass. They taught him how to do a screen pass, which is hilarious to watch. But they had another kid do it, and he dropped it, and then they put Mason back there. Your homie caught it, tucked it, and just took off and scored a touchdown.
What?
Dude, we couldn't film it because we were on like the opposite end, and there was like a plexiglass in front of us, like you couldn't see anything, and I wouldn't have been able to get it. But homie just caught it, saw the defense coming at him, and just took off the other way, right down the field. So it's funny, like then 2 weeks ago, he would just run right up to the kid and like try and go to the flags and kind of run right by him. So they had their halftime, and I walked over to him and I was talking to him, and I was like, listen, instead of running past the kid, get to the kid, stop, and just like watch the flags. Just go for watch the flags. And like, I was trying to break down the game to a 5, almost 6-year-old. I knew it was gonna kind of go in one ear and out the other ear. But if he took any of it and did what I said, I would be happy with it. And he did. Like the next play, almost he went to the kid, like broke down and went for the flag and made the tackle. And he was pumped because like he looked at me and he was like, "Yeah, like good." I'm like, "Yeah, that was dope. Like good for you." Fucking next Cuba DeJean out there, but he understands the game and like he picks up on it. And you've been around these kids before.
Yeah,
just have it. Now, again, I'm not saying Mason is the next Cuba DeJean or he's the next Heisman Trophy winner, but like I sent it to Jay Hill and he's like, "Hey, like you can tell he understands what he's doing." And
that's the big thing. Yeah,
he understands not the X's and O's, but he understands where he's supposed to be at. He understands what I tell him to do, how to do it, and like he just picks up on it very quickly. And you've been around these kids. Some do, some don't. And it takes a hot second, but like it's super dope that I see it and like other people see it. And they're like, okay, like you can tell he's 5 going on 6. So I'm not calling the scouts yet, but like, I can tell that he has it. And like, you start to like hone in on those types of things. If he didn't, I would, we practice with him, but like, and he likes watching the game and understands it and all that. So it's pretty dope to see that in a kid, but like for it to be your own kid and to be, as big of a football fan as I am, that's also pretty dope too. And the homies love it too. Like all the homies, all the boys are like, I can't wait for tailgating at the high school fields and watching them tear up the neighboring high school.
Exactly. Yeah. So I got 3. I'm going to go really quick through it. So the first one is Joe Milton. They're potentially going to toy with the idea of making him available for a trade. Me personally, I've been one that's mentioned Joe Milton a lot since Tennessee. He just has an arm. It's just one of those things that he has, and you're holding on to a treasure. You clearly want to just stick with Drake May. Let him be out there. He might do a lot. If he goes to the right scheme, he could be special.
Yep.
He had injuries, different things. Yeah. But the arm, they were showing that special, and he only can just participate in the preseason because Drake May is going to be the future. So that's the first one. If they at all make him available for trade, the right teams, the right team is not Carolina, the right team is not the Las Vegas Raiders, the right team is not the Tennessee Titans or the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those are not the right teams. They might need a quarterback, but he does not need to go there. But that's the first one. The second one, so some of you, if you pay attention at all to high school basketball or college basketball, there's a kid coming out of Virginia named Nate Ahmet. And he's like one of the best ones coming out. Shaq has him, of course, in some of his different things. He has like a bunch of different NIL deals and money. And I remember it was like a year ago. My mom was like, hey, Chris, like, I'm going to go see Nate play. I was like, who the hell is this Nate person? Number one, we'll just fast forward right now. My mom taught this kid in preschool, and he is now one of the top players that are coming out of high school.
Did she know? Did she know back in the day this kid was going to be special? Did she know like I knew?
Exactly. And the crazy part is my mom's just like, yeah, Chris, I'm going to go take pictures with his mom because his mom wants to send the picture to Nate. And that's when I said, yo, mom, just stay friends with them. Like if the mom is sending the picture to Nate, you're fine. It's not like, oh, can I take a picture and ask Nate if they remember me? So that's
your mom's gonna be in his Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah, exactly. Just one of those things of, so who's your favorite teacher growing up? Oh, it was Mrs. Hay. It's gonna be one of those things because if the mom is taking picture, first off, when older individuals take pictures, they are terrible at selfies. Like
you can't even see their faces. Half their faces.
No. So that was the second thing. The third one, I actually thought of you, Stephen, because so on Friday, if anyone knows anything about what I do for work, I review every single financial thing that comes through. Everyone that sends us financial things to get approved are not great. So this one person sent us a receipt. We're just going to say over 18K. Don't want to say the actual amount because I know two people that I work with watch the show now, so I can't get full details. But they took a picture of a receipt. They took the picture of the receipt when they were in the car. So mind you, it's like me showing you something like this and expecting you to see anything that's on it. Yeah. That's how the receipt was. And so I said, if a director is sending this to me, I'm just giving it to the president so that they can end up seeing the bullshit that I got to deal with. So the president sent the email with the director, the VP of this specific department and me and said, what am I supposed to see on this receipt that says 20K? And they said, why is this what I'm going to get? Like, this is what you guys are sending me. So then the director sends this long email, basically apologizing, saying the reason that they did this. And then this is the part that made me think of Stephen, because the president sends back and says, you did not need to send me all of that just to end up.
I did not need all that.
I'm not reading all that.
I'm big on that. The shorter the better, dude. Yeah.
And then he ended it saying, it looks like a wet towel you sent me. Like, you need to do better.
I need all that.
I didn't need. And as soon as he sent that, all I thought of was Steven. When someone sent a long message back to Steven on Twitter, and Steven was like, I'm going to be honest, I didn't read all of this.
Yeah. But
that's how it goes.
Go with the Mike Woodson meme. Big on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna so those are the three I got for this week. Next week, there will be a lot of different special things that happen. Like I said, over the week, we're going to cover the scouting combine. Next week, we'll end up talking about the scouting combine, and kind of going forward, we're going to switch things up. So just pay attention to what happens. I have a special surprise probably next week of a new hobby I picked up. We'll talk about it then. Till next time, we out.
Peace.